Morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning show. Today, January 7th, 2025, and we got some stuff to cover, everyone. Shout out to you guys. Welcome to the morning show. Coffee with Jay, tea, frappe, whatever you like to drink. Make sure you grab it as we get to these morning topics. Before we get started, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel, click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. We got some stuff to talk about today. Don King is back in the news. Ezekiel Elliott has moved on, and maybe the real reason why Jerod Mayo was let go from the Patriots. So we'll get into all that good stuff. Before we do, shout out to the Wrench Gang, shout out to the family, all the listeners, all the watchers. I appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to you, Purple. Good to see you this morning. Good to see you this morning. The tea was hot. And I had to let it cool down. But let me get this quick sip in with you guys. Here we go. Got that Earl Grey. Shout out to you, Scott. What up, man? What's going on with you, bro? Good morning. Shout out to Reverend in the building. Shout out to you, Reverend. What up, though? All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ezekiel Elliott, ex-Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott signs to the Chargers practice squad ahead of postseason run per report. So we know that the Cowboys have been in shambles. The Cowboys have been in such a bad shape that, Jerry Jones I feel like he's more in the spotlight than some of the players. And it's kind of sad because when we get into the conversation as far as this team and the talent, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Micah Parsons, these individuals, have so much talent, and I feel like it's being wasted due to the issues by the leadership and, how management is handling this team. So once again, we allow someone like Ezekiel Elliott, who, was definitely a beneficial part to this team. Yes, he did kind of fall off after he got paid. But then, we know how players work, right? They want to get more money. They want to get paid. They come back and they kind of ball out a little bit sometimes. But I think Ezekiel Elliott is one of those running backs that definitely had the talent to go out there and potentially make something happen, even if it was just enough, to get these Cowboys in a position to, get a first down, right? They had the good situation with Tony Pollard, right? It would be Tony Pollard who will get you your long runs, and Elliott will come in and he'd be that brute force running back, get you about 3 to 4 yards or get you across that line if you needed it. And so now we come to the point of, Jerry Jones saying that he was fine of letting Ezekiel Elliott go so he could move on and end up on a team and potentially have a run at the playoffs. And so it looks like this may happen. We know that at this point it's going to happen. So let's get into it. As far as just 5 days before the Dallas Cowboys played their season finale, 3-time Pro Bowl running back Ezekiel Elliott asked to be released with the hope of latching on with the playoff-bound team to chase a Super Bowl ring. Dallas granted his request, and Elliott will now be eligible to participate in the postseason after signing on to the practice squad of the Los Angeles Chargers on Tuesday night per NFL media. Elliott becoming a Charger occurred because he lost competition for his old spot as the Cowboys lead running back, with undrafted veteran Rico Dowdle taking that mantle and producing the first 1,000-yard rushing season of his career. Elliott rushed 74 times for 226 yards and 3 touchdowns while catching 12 passes for 69 yards in 15 games played in 2024. He entered the NFL as the 4th overall pick in the 2016 draft out of Ohio State. Elliott hit the ground running at the professional level, running for a league best 1,631 yards and 15 touchdowns his rookie year, earning a first-team All-Pro selection as well as a Pro Bowl trip. He led the NFL in rushing yards per game in each of his first 3 seasons and led the league in total rushing a second time in 2018 with 1,434 yards during his Cowboys career. Elliott was named an All-Pro twice and made 3 Pro Bowls. However, Elliott hasn't rushed for 1,000 yards or averaged more than 3.8 yards a carry since 2021. So yeah, we can definitely say that he progressed, right? He didn't progress. He basically slowed down, right? And I think That's due to a couple of reasons, right? They made Tony Pollard the star of the show, and they've kind of, like I said, they put Ezekiel Elliott in the back seat, which I think he was fine with that role. He understand that, he was kind of slowing down. But then it comes to mind, it's like, well, is McCarthy making the decisions in the right place to basically get him in the game more to be more of an impact? Because obviously, if you believe in Rico Dowdle, you're going to give him more of the snaps. You're going to put the ball in his hand more. And so, Zeke, I guess, feels at this point in his career, he's like, hey, things are winding down. I'm getting a little older. I do have a little bit of gas left in me. Let me move on and go on to a different team and potentially have a shot at getting a ring. So, hey, Jerry Jones lets him go. He then moves on to the Chargers, and now he's got that opportunity. He'll be potentially playing in the playoffs. We'll see what happens. So, I could definitely see Elliott playing more of a veteran role, giving, his coaching and advice as the Chargers potentially have a shot to move on. Now, that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother story. We'll get to that as we get to the playoffs. But I think it's good. I think it's good for Elliott. He gets himself out of a toxic situation. He moves on to the Chargers, and I think it's a good pickup. I think having a veteran presence in Elliott is going to be good for that team. I think they definitely need it, and I think Harbaugh is going to enjoy that as well. So there you go. Let me hop into the chat. Shout out to you, Megan. Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to you, Purple. Let's go. Scott Coley. Let's go. Let's go. Blind Face says, good morning from Texas. Good morning. Good morning. Let's go, Texas in the house. Reverend says, Elliott is the example of why you don't go back to broken relationships. I think once Elliott returned, he was reminded of the unhealthy relationship. Listen, that is definitely a way to look at it. I agree. You don't go back to toxic relationships. No matter how good it once felt. No matter how good it once felt, you don't go back. We know this from, relationships and all that kind of stuff and situations in real life. Even if you want to go to the professional route, right? Maybe you had a good job at one point and you left because, you felt that you was done the wrong way. The money was good and, you may have had that really good work friend, but, your boss disrespected you and you was like, nah, I'm out of here. I'm going to go do something else. And then, you got that phone call and they're like, hey, just come on back. And then the situation happens again and it makes, it reminds you of why you shouldn't have went back. And unfortunately for Elliott, I think it's the same thing. But we can't, on the flip side, we can't just overlook how Elliott got the bag and then went on the downhill. All right, we're not going to look over that. He definitely got the bag and stopped playing too. So we're going to give him a little bit of shade there because he got all that money and then Tony Pollard overshined him. So I didn't like to see that. I think he lost some of that hunger when he got the paycheck. So we going to say we happy that he moved on, but I do feel like he played a part of, the Cowboys running situation not being a total success after he got paid. And we'll leave it at that. But let me get back to the chat. It says Boker Tov, that's good morning in Hebrew. Shout out to you, Safari. Says, I made it. It's 8:20 off today. Let's go. Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to you, Big T in the building. Jonah says, wish Zeke the best at any team he goes to, but this would help him and the Chargers go to the playoff bid. Think Jerry and the Cowboys wanted to give Zeke that chance. Like I said, I agree. The Cowboys are in bad shape right now. And we're going to have to really, really dig into it and go over some stuff as far as, that whole team. Maybe next year, right? 3rd and 3, 3rd and 1 to get that first on or touchdown. Without a doubt, he was the man for the job. 100%. Shout out to Safari, says got that chai tea latte with the almond milk. Keeping it healthy this morning. I got the Earl Grey. I got the Earl Grey with a little bit of honey. Shout out to you guys. Much love to Vito coming in with the $2 super chat. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. Says, what it do, my brother? What it do? Listen, it's a good morning, good Tuesday morning. It's a little cold out, a little snow, but hey, it's all good. It's all good. Purple says, I'm not a Cowboys fan, as most but I will say their fans live and breathe the Cowboys. Listen, I'm not going to even play around with it. You guys know just as well as I do. Cowboys fans are literally some of the most devoted and loyal fans in the football world. And so, as much as we make jokes and as much as we make the memes and we all have our ha-ha moments, the Cowboys is America's team, right? We know that. Every Thanksgiving, you're watching the Cowboys play no matter what happens. And, in the back of your mind, it's almost like, yeah, I kind of want to see the Cowboys do good, right? Even though I'm not a fan, I kind of want to see the Cowboys do good just because, we understand what the Cowboys once were. And unfortunately for me, I look at Jerry Jones and everything that, he's done with this team over these last, three decades, almost 4 decades now. It's really a shame. You remember the Troy Aikman days. You remember the Michael Irvin days. You remember, Emmitt Smith and all those guys. And it was just it was a feel good time for football. And so I think for, people who watch that style of football and, they remember the Cowboys and their twilight, you sit back and you say, all right, I get it. And I feel kind of bad. Some of you don't feel bad. I get it. But I feel a little bad sometimes until they start talking garbage. And I got to turn up a little bit. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up. I appreciate the love and support. Let's try to get to 25 likes. Shout out to Kirk, says same ish Watson did got the bag and been trash. Ooh. Listen, there's a whole lot of people we could talk about that got the bag and was trash. Now I'm not going to gripe too much on certain individuals because some people got the bag and then they got injured and then they kind of fell off. But there were a lot of individuals who went and got paid and they're just like, you know what? Let me get up out of here. Let me get up out of here. I'm looking at somebody over in San Francisco right now who got that bag and just was like, I'm out of here. And that's a whole nother topic, right? We need to get into conditioning, right? Before we move on to the next story, we need to get into conditioning and, how some of these players, they're waiting it out, right? I'm not training or I'm not playing until I get my contract. And some of these contracts aren't done until, close to the first week of the season. And it's like, okay, you haven't been training. We know you ain't been eating right. You've been partying. And now you want to wait because you want to get the max amount of money you can. And so then when you get the contract, you step out on that field, your body's not ready. There's got to be like some kind of league stipulations moving forward where if you don't train and you don't prepare your body and get ready to go, then that affects your contract negotiations. And you might just have to sit. Now, that's a whole nother story. I'm sure it probably won't happen because the players control things more than you guys know. But I just think something's got to happen because, you shouldn't be able to sit there and say, oh, I'm not going to train. I'm not going to work out. I'm not going to do what I need to do to stay healthy. And then, pay me $200 million and I step out on that field. And next thing you know, I'm out of there with the ACL or, I got some kind of injury and I'm out for the season. And all the fans who paid thousands of dollars for those seats and, $20,000-$30,000 for those special seats, for the VIP seats, the VIP treatment, they're out of the show. They paid all that money and they lose out. So it's really unfortunate. Something's got to change. Jonas says, be honest here. How do you feel about Denver coming to Buffalo? I think it's going to be a clean swipe. I think it's a clean sweep. Or does it come down to the wire? I'll tell you this. This is a good one. And I'm glad we're actually going through this right now because I think it was one of those conversations we were having a few days ago where, the Broncos fans were so happy, right? The Broncos fans were so happy. And, they were kind of elated to be in this position because of Bo Nix, right? And I said, I appreciate Bo Nix. I like what he's doing. Great arm, good IQ. He's smart with the football. He doesn't make too many mistakes. And when he does, he bounces back, right? He's not one of those quarterbacks where if he throws a pick, it just, ruins his whole game. And so am I worried? No, I'm not worried. I think I understand as far as, the expectations of where the Bills are. And even with the defensive issues, yeah, okay, I expect a shootout, right? But where the difference comes into play is if you've ever been to Highmark Stadium, Ralph Wilson Stadium, then or Rich Stadium, if you know that the fans there are the 12th man. And sometimes that stadium is so loud that it can disrupt things. And for a rookie quarterback like Bo Nix, he's not going to be ready for that, right? They'll coach him on that and they'll try to, train him on it and get him ready for it. But there's nothing like being in that real experience in a playoff game to bat and one of the most significant games in your life. Listen, that changes things. And so, as far as being nervous, no, I think the Bills have a great chemistry offensively. I think, Sean McDermott, Joe Brady, these guys are going to have, this team ready to go. There's a lot to prove. There's jobs on the line. There ain't no jobs. There's jobs on the line. Best believe there's jobs on the line. And so I think, people are definitely going to be ready. I think people are going to be ready. I think, Josh Allen is enjoying himself. He's loving life right now. He's playing to his best ability. He's in the MVP conversation. He's got engaged this year. There's a lot that motivates a man. There's nothing that motivates a man more than a woman and his money. I'm going to just leave it at that. And, having the opportunity to get 2 rings in a year, I think Allen's on a mission right now. So let me get back to the chat. Shout out to you, Jonas. Says, look, Elliott wants that ring, even though in paper Cowboys look like they would put a ring on it. It doesn't transfer over into productivity. Yeah, I mean, the thing about, at least for me, the expectation for the Cowboys are always, hey, they need to make it to a Super Bowl. It's never, you don't look at the Cowboys and say, well, they're not going to make it. They won't even make it to the playoffs. You never look at the Cowboys like that. You say, well, yeah, they should make it to the playoffs. With everything that they have and with the defense that was as dominant as it was, this team should be making it to the championship almost each year, if not a divisional round. And so to not see it happen, obviously, Dak being out and the injury playing a significant part of that, and just the culture in general and the mentality of the players right now, the locker room is not good. And, you had the situation with Cooper Rush. That's a whole nother conversation. You had the situation with Cooper Rush. He had a $500,000 incentive on the line. He gets pulled off the field. Why would, I get it. We're not winning. This man's got 500 on the line. He's going to try and get that money. He's going to try to play as best as he can to make that $500,000. He gets pulled off the field, and that just basically shows you, how this team is operating and just, what kind of overall morale that creates. It's kind of sad. Let me get back to the chat. It says the Broncos have some great defense players as well. Yeah. So the Broncos have the top, if not the top defensive team as far as when it comes to sacks. They're very good at getting to the quarterback. So when we talk about Allen and as far as, the pressure and things like that, I'm assuming he's expecting it, right? Is that one thing that once again I'm worried about? No, because Allen is a mobile quarterback. And it's very tough to bring Allen down. And guess what? If you bring that blitz to Allen, he's going to get rid of that ball. And you're going to have to deal with that of leaving someone open down the field. And if you're going to bring that pressure to Allen, so you're going to have to find a balance. But Sean Payton is a very good coach when it comes to that. So getting into the playoffs, like I said, I'm not concerned. I'm not worried. But I do think that things need to be ready to go. Right, without a doubt. You can't go in there, thinking about the Ravens or thinking about the Chiefs. You think about each game as it is. This is the Broncos. We need to beat the Broncos. This is the Chargers. We need to beat the Chargers. This is the Ravens. Like, whatever it is, you have to look at each game for what it is at that time. Don't look ahead. Look at what you have for the day. Go out there and get the job done. Go out there and execute. Move on, and deny the haters. Deny the haters. Shout out T357. What up, man? Good to see you, bro. Good to see you. The Broncos are coming into a hornet's nest. That's a fact. The 12-man. The weather looking like in Buffalo for that game. Hold on. I will get it for you. Weather looking like for that game. I know it's going to be really cold. So the high 31, low is 23 with the wind. It's going to be colder than that for sure. And snow showers. So we could have some snow. And between Saturday and Sunday, that's going to be your weather. So some snow maybe on the way. It's playoff football, y'all. It's playoff football. Says, yes, that one was awesome. Go Broncos. We know they won because it's KC's second string crew. They won't beat the Bills. Bills need to take out KC. We'll see. We'll see. Hard 04 says Dak should be traded and Dallas get Kirk. You know what? Kirk Cousins might be able to go somewhere else and make another $100 million. It's crazy to think about. We got to talk about Kirk. We'll get into that another time. All right, y'all. Let's keep it going. Story number two. Let's get into Jerod Mayo, right? Let's get into Jerod Mayo. This was a very interesting topic and how it happened for sure. Because when we look at the situation with Jerod Mayo and this Patriots franchise, I don't think anybody wanted the guy to be there in the first place, right? I don't think anybody wanted Jerod Mayo to play for or to coach for this team. And it was because of the legacy that Bill Belichick has left. It's going to be very hard to fill those shoes. So Jerod Mayo coming in with really having no coaching experience wasn't what the fans wanted to see. But let's go ahead and get into this one. Patriots owner Robert Kraft explains Jerod Mayo firing. I felt we regressed. Make sure you guys hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, make sure you subscribe. Let's get to it. Here we go. No? Doesn't want to play. All right. We must unmute.
Is on me.
All right, let me go back. Here we go. Here we go.
I'm going to be very brief here and say this whole situation is on me. I feel terrible for Jerod because I put him in an untenable situation. I know that he has all the tools as a head coach to be successful in this league. He just needed more time before taking the job. In the end.
Wait a minute. Wait. Wow. Okay. So let's before we keep going, we got to break this down. So we're saying he has the skills. We're saying that he's qualified to do the job, but you just can't do it here. You got it, Jerod. You can coach, but you just can't do it here. See, this is the problem that I have with this league, right? You have individuals like Robert Kraft, like Jerry Jones, who control so much of the narrative that they can come out and say this crazy crap. The man had one season to work with a terrible team. We're just going to call the Patriots what they are. They're a terrible team hoping to get things right. So we understand that what Jerod Mayo is coming into. So to sit up on this podium and say that the man has the coaching ability and has all this and that to get the job done, but then you fire him after the first season, let me just slow down. Let me slow down. I was about to go deep into the bad. We gonna keep it going. This is crazy to me. We gonna keep it going.
I'm a fan of this team first, and now I have to go out and find a coach who can get us back to the playoffs and hopefully championships. we're open for questions.
Robert, just when was the decision made? In your mind, when was it that you felt you needed to let him go?
This whole situation evolved, but I'd say over the last month, I went back and forth. And I don't know, in my life and my business, I make certain decisions. I know when it's right, and it just happened. And it was very hard because the personal relationship I feel for Jerod and the human being he is. And
All right, so we're not just going to come out and say, the situation was because, hey, he went out there and won and we wanted him to lose because we wanted the first round draft pick. I'm not going to come out and say that. I'm going to say all this fluffer and all this other stuff. Robert, just be real. Come out and tell us, hey, he didn't follow the script. He didn't do what we wanted him to do. He didn't go in that locker room and tell Milton to play like garbage. Don't go out there and get 2 touchdowns. Don't go out there and get a touchdown, do a backflip, Milton. Don't go out there and play your best to try and get a win at the end of the season. So maybe that you can have an opportunity to go somewhere else or get a bigger check or show a team that you do have some talent and that maybe you could be a solid backup or even starting quarterback somewhere else. No, go out there and tank because we wanted to have the first round draft pick. Just say that, Kraft. And so, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors when it comes to the owners talking. And this is why I do feel like at some point, teams like the Cowboys and teams like the Patriots, they need to move on from this old style of, hey, we're going to bring in Kraft to talk about everything. We're going to let Jerry talk about everything. There needs to be a change. There needs to be a change. And whether or not Jerod Mayo was the man for the job, fine. But to say this garbage when everyone really knows what it is, it's really just a slap in the face of the fans. And so, other coaches who's going to come and look at this like, hey, well, why would I go to this place when I know that it's garbage over there and I'm not going to be given the opportunity to fix it or change things around because I'm just going to get fired after the first season anyways. Or maybe there's some kind of backhanded deal. Maybe they've already been talking to people to take over the job because of what's at stake. Oh, you got $100 million in cap space. Oh, you got a rookie quarterback that can be developed. Well, we know that Jerod Mayo is not going to be good at that, so let's go find somebody else. It's terrible. I don't like it. But that's just the reality of what happened. And so, it's very easy to look at the draft and say it's because of that. But also, I do think that there's been conversations to other places. I'm not going to mention those other coaches because it's not confirmed yet. But I think the reality is, like he said, he'd been thinking about this for months, or the past month rather. And unfortunately, Jerod Mayo got caught up in the mix. And it's really unfortunate because I think people see what's going on. So let me hop into the chat. This one's nasty, y'all. This one is nasty. Scott says going from one bad situation to another. Jonas says they should have kept Jerod for one more year. Jay Thomas says, man, it's 35 in Alabama right now. Weather for the game is going to be cold, without a doubt. Robert looks geriatric. Not geriatric. Scott says talking in circles, as they always do. Tactical says he's talking like a politician, bro. Listen, when you want to change the narrative, that's what you do, right? When you want to change the narrative or when you want the narrative to fit how you want to spin it, you start talking like a politician. So Tyrone says he's mad about that lost number 1 pick, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Kirk says, boy, you're at least 4 to 5 years from getting into the playoffs. We want to find a coach who's going to get us to the playoffs and win a championship. Well, guess what? You're going to need to get a solid team and have a good coach behind that team, and it's going to take years to develop. You're talking about getting past the Jets, Miami, and the Bills in the AFC East to get to that point. And I don't see anyone on that team that is really at any level to consider getting to that point right now. 4 or 5 years after, people have developed and, you brought in different personnel and you picked up the pieces that you need to fit in the puzzle. fine, the Patriots may be able to come back and have some kind of semblance to what it once was. But I don't think you're ever going to find another Tom Brady. So maybe you'll need to settle for a coach who can, get things together and take time with him to help him get that team to the point. But it looks like you're not one to do that unless you've got a strong veteran coach in there who you believe in. And we're going to leave it like that, ladies and gentlemen. Let me hop into these comments before we get to the next story. This one's wild. It's wild. I don't like it. Vito says it was obvious the Bills were playing out the game to lose. They punted from the New England 35-yard line. They need that new oil. Mark says a morale question from Robert is rich. Them balls are deflated for years now. Oh, Mark coming in with the hotness. We gotta sip to that, y'all. Got the Earl Grey today. A little bit of honey going. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you hit that like, that thumbs up as we keep it going. Gates Matcher says Cedar Key, Florida Bills Mafia in the house. Is Hey Jay enjoying the show? Now can we talk playoffs? We talked playoffs yesterday, but we could talk in a little while. We got another story we got to get to. I want to get through these comments, get to that next story, and then we'll talk some playoffs. Shout out to you, Kirsten. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Vito says Mayo leaves with his integrity. Other teams will look at him and say he's for real and hates to lose. He can't do it. Listen, I agree. The scenario is, yes, we understand that the Patriots wanted the first round pick, right? If I'm Mayo, I'm having the conversation with Milton like, listen, I think my time's up here. I think they've already made a decision as far as where I stand for next season. Go out there and ball out and get us a win, right? I'm going to coach us a win, and I'm going to leave with my head held high. I'm going to leave on a solid victory so I can get myself in position for another job, right? If you're someone like Mayo, I think you understood, or there could have even been whispers. Somebody would have came in, yo, Jerod, listen, this is what's going on. Just you need to know, where they stand. Somebody probably came, put it in his ear, what's going on, and he's like, all right, let me go out here and get a win. Because at the end of the day, we know that the NFL and the owners are going to do what they need to do what's best for their business and their team and their bottom line. So at the same time, Jerod's probably looking at it like, I got to do what's best for me now. I know the writing's on the door. Let me go out here and get this win and move on. So there you go. Greg says Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones are the two devious old guys in trading places. I'll bet you $1. Right? They probably still do it. They probably go to the bathroom, bet $1 on the games and stuff like that. And they probably still do it just like that, because money means nothing to them. So they'll bet $1. AU the Future says Herbert deserves MVP. All right, you're getting crazy now. You're getting crazy now. Shout out to you, Michelle. Says, good morning. I shoveled my way out. You shoveled? We don't need you out there shoveling, Michelle. We got to get you somebody to come out there and shovel for you. You don't need to be shoveling. You do not need to be out there. Send me an email. I'll call around for you. We got to get somebody to come shovel for you because you shouldn't be out there. Good morning to you, Michelle. Good to see you. OG Wrench Gang in the house. Gates Matcher says, don't talk playoffs until mac and cheese is made. It's 10:50. Y'all eat mac and cheese this morning? Someone's like, I don't care. I'll eat mac and cheese at any time of the day. Kirsten says the Chiefs versus Broncos game was crazy for me. I was rooting for the Broncos. They could have won it. But, that field goal being blocked is you could say it's lucky. You can say whatever you want. But I think at the end of the day, the reality is, the kick was blocked. And that's just good special teams. That's good coaching. Being prepared and being ready is half the battle. You just got to execute. And that's what they did. All right. Next story, ladies and gentlemen. For our morning show, make sure you guys hit the like, hit the thumbs up. Don King is in the news. Don King is in the news, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe that's messed up. Let me shift some things here for you guys. Bring this down just a little bit. Just a little bit. Come on, Jay, get it together. All right, there you go. You see it. We're good. So yeah, Don King back in the news. That famous boxing promoter, Ali, George Foreman, Ali, Boomaye, Ali, Boomaye, Rumble in the Jungle, all that kind of stuff. Well, he's back in the news, ladies and gentlemen, and for the wrong reasons. We know that Don King has been in the spotlight for several controversies, famously Mike Tyson, all kinds of craziness there. But it's always about some money. It's always about some money when it comes to Don King. And right now he's back in the news. So boxing promoter Don King facing $3 billion fraud and defamation lawsuit. This is crazy. Crazy. Don King is the subject of a massive fraud and defamation lawsuit that's seeking $3 million in damages. Perhaps the most legendary and controversial promoter of all time, King was best known for his personal. Wait a second. It says 3 million here, but 3 billion there. Sports Illustrated. This is their writing, y'all. Don't blame it on me. All right, so we're going to stick with 3 million because I don't think it's 3 billion. Don King is the subject of a massive fraud and defamation lawsuit that's seeking $3 million in damages. Perhaps the most legendary and controversial promoter of all time, King was best known for his personality, hairstyle, and for putting on some of the biggest fights in professional boxing history. King played a pivotal role in organizing the iconic Rumble in the Jungle, a bout that featured Muhammad Ali against George Foreman, the Thriller in Manila that featured Ali versus Frazier, and many of Mike Tyson's most notable fights, including his fight against Trevor Berbick in 1986, which made him the youngest heavyweight champion in history at 20 years old. If you didn't watch that fight, go look at the highlights. Mike Tyson was peekaboo style, just Some of y'all don't know. I love Mike Tyson. I enjoyed that era of boxing, but yeah, Don King. So now King is being sued in civil suit over a failed attempt to resurrect Rumble in the Jungle 2. The suit filed in the Southern District of New York was brought by BYD Sports and its CEO, Cecil Miller, and is alleging fraud, defamation, breach of contract, and more. You can follow the proceedings here. In summary, the suit is alleging that Don King Productions' actions purposely thwarted a 50th anniversary event, Rumble in the Jungle 2, from happening in its final stages of planning. King has sent a cease and desist letter saying, "My clients have received information that you are falsely representing to the Nigerian government and others that DKP has authorized you to stage an event known as Rumble in the Jungle 50th anniversary, the Freedom Belt, RJ50 Freedom Belt. That, as you well know, is not true. DKP does not and has not granted you permission to solicit, discuss, negotiate, or arrange this event or any event under the guide or being affiliated with DK or DKP, the Lewis firm." So there you go. What this basically sounds to me is a shakedown, right? You didn't pay me the money that I wanted. I was not able to get the kind of money that I wanted for this specific event. And so we're going to shut it down. We're going to play this kind of game. So as for, the information that's currently here from Don King Promotions, you guys can see it and read about it. It's on this specific page from Sports Illustrated. But yeah, I mean, to me, this kind of situation, we've seen it over the years. Don King being involved in, lawsuits and money problems and issues and, involved in things like that, allegedly. It's really unfortunate because Don King definitely put on some of the most biggest fights in history, and he's a boxing legend. And to once again be in the news for something like this, it just shows that some people don't change. No matter how old you get. After all the things you learned, some things just don't change. Kind of crazy. So let me go back to the comments here. Shout out to you, Scott. Mark Griffin, good morning, bro. Says from Syracuse, we're getting clobbered with the snow here. Yeah, it's been coming down. It's been coming down for sure. Shout out to you, Michelle, the man, the myth, the hair. Without a doubt. Shout out to you, Greg. Says be crazy if my Raiders can add Jerod Mayo and part of our defense coaching job in the Raiders. I don't know, because I feel like Deion Sanders is coming over and we don't know where. So I'm not sure that. I mean, I think it would work, but I don't know. I think Deion might end up in the Raiders. DJ Jean says Don King was at the Diddy party. Not the Diddy party. Let's sip to that one. My goodness. I remember those matches. Yeah, I don't remember those matches. Shout out to you for sure. But I did watch. The replays. Some amazing fights, without a doubt. Kirk says Deion supposed to have a say on where his son plays, and according to mock draft, they got him going to Tennessee. I wonder how that's going to work out. Yeah, I mean, I think it's possible that he does go to Tennessee, but I think Deion, it could be some kind of trade situation because they want them boys out in Vegas for sure. Scott says the peekaboo into one of the deadliest uppercuts ever. Oh, listen, that body shot uppercut, that was it. It was lights out. If Mike Tyson hit you with that body shot and that uppercut, you couldn't recover from it. That was his signature piece. That body shot to the uppercut, hit you with the body, knock the wind out of you, then hit you with that uppercut. Oh my goodness. It's nothing like it. Nothing like it. You had Shane Mosley with that incredible speed and combinations. That was what he was known for. That was his signature style, right? That combination overhand left. But certain individuals, right? You got Muhammad Ali with the jab, right? That was his signature piece. That jab was his he could knock you out with the jab. George Foreman, another one. Hit you with that body shot with that power, you going down. Just certain individuals had their signature hits, and that was one of them. That body shot uppercut. Shout out to Mike Tyson. Says Tom Brady would be open to Mayo. I'm just not sure. Like I said, there's been a lot of talks and discussions as far as what's going on with Vegas and Deion Sanders potentially coming over to the league. And I think the NFL likes what he's been doing with college, and some one of the owners wants to pick him up. For sure. Speaking of boxing though, we got the Canelo versus Crawford fight coming. We're going to be streaming that. I mean, I'm actually hyped for that. We didn't get the show we wanted from Tyson and Paul, but I do think we'll get the show we want from Crawford and Alvarez. I think that's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm excited for that one. We will be checking that one out. I will be streaming it, so make sure you're here for that. I think Amanda Serrano's got another fight coming up. She was absolutely robbed with that Katie Taylor fight, so I'm excited to see what happens there as well. Amanda Serrano Serrano and Taylor was the best fight of the night in that Mike Tyson card, without a doubt. So they definitely were going crazy. So definitely excited to see what Serrano's gonna do, and then we'll get into those fights as well, without a doubt. Mark says still have not forgiven him for taking advantage of a 19-year-old Tyson who lost his mentor. It's tough, right? Because we know people who are talented and people who are on an upward trajectory, when they lose someone, they're at their most vulnerable. And then the Hawks come swooping in because they see opportunity and they see that. And that was Don King. And that's just the reality of it. Shout out to you, Greg. Says, I believe Logan Paul would have lost to the younger version of Mike Tyson at the same age. Logan Paul, Jake Paul, either one of them would have lost to Mike Tyson right now. Mike Tyson held back. If you go and look at the highlights of that fight, or just look at the replay and then slow it down, you'll see where Mike's pulling his punches. You'll see where Mike's biting his glove because he's trying to tame himself and bring down the energy. Mike Tyson was holding himself back. We were sold a 100% Mike Tyson, and we got a 20% Mike Tyson. He held back. He was pulling his punches, and it was somewhere in the contract that said if Jake Paul got hurt, that he wasn't going to get paid. So it's just the reality of it. Allegedly. I have to say allegedly, because I don't really know that was in the contract, and I don't want anybody to send me email. So I'll say allegedly. But I think that it was in the contract that he couldn't hurt Jake Paul. So there you go. Curry says the world is a cold business. I agree. Without a doubt. I agree. I wonder where Tyreek Hill is going to be moved. Let's go. Let's get into it. I'll pull this one up here as well. A lot of stuff going on. Listen, if I missed something, you guys want to talk about it, bring it up during the chat. And we'll get into it. Let's pull this up here. Let's drop this into the mix. We're gonna have to talk about SI though for sure, because they got to get their right together. All right, Tyreek Hill. So this is another one that we've been getting into as far as the opportunities out on the field and talent being wasted, right? So as you remember, or if you do remember, Tyreek Hill at one point said that Tua Tagovailoa was better than Patrick Mahomes. And it's kind of sad because at this point, we know that's not true. And with everything that Tua has went through as far as the concussions and things like that, I think Tyreek Hill is feeling that his talent is not only being wasted, but he may not have another shot at another ring as far as at this point in his career. So let's get into this one. It says, what are the Dolphins without Tyreek Hill? The star receiver put his team in a bind by saying he wants out of Miami. Now, before we get into this, obviously make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and understand that there is, dead money involved. So it's going to cost the Dolphins about $28 million or something like that, and cap money if he were to get traded out. It's a lot of money. I'm not sure the Dolphins would want to waste that money, but we'll get into it. Says who will Tua's top target be next season? The NFL regular season just finished a mere hours ago, and we already know that one of the biggest storylines of the offseason is going to be what will the Miami Dolphins do with Tyreek Hill. Hill said after Sunday's season-ending loss, he was done playing in Miami. Speaking with reporters after the game, he first spoke vaguely about a need to do what's best for me and my family, end quote. But then stated his intentions more clearly when pressed. I'm about to open that door for myself, dog, Hill added. I'm opening the door. I'm out, bro. It was great playing here, but at the end of the day, I got to do what's best for my career. It's too much. I'm too much of a competitor to just be out there. Shout out to you, Joseph. I appreciate you, bro. So I agree, right? I agree with Tyreek Hill. You are a competitor. You do have talent. You do have speed. You do have great hands. You do have great IQ as a wide receiver. The problem is you decided to leave. Now, this is the flip side of the conversation we had earlier. You decided to leave, a good thing, because you wanted more money. It wasn't good enough for you. You thought the grass would be greener on the other side. So you leave a good thing in Kansas City where everything was going well for you. Like, they're not going to pay me enough money. I want to go down south. I want to go down to Miami. I want to go to Miami where the palm trees and the beaches. I don't want to play in the cold no more. I get it. But at the same time, you left a good situation, right? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And so now Tyreek Hill is seeing that. He understands that now. And I could see at some point where he's disappointed in himself for making that decision and that he regrets leaving Kansas City because now he wishes that he was with Patrick Mahomes and he stayed there and he had the additional Super Bowl rings. Because no player likes to see a team go on without them and keep winning and get more rings because now they feel bad, especially when they made the decision to leave and it wasn't on the team specifically. So let's keep going. Coach Mike McDaniel tried to downplay Hill's comments, says, I'm not going to put too much weight on secondhand post-game disappointment statements, McDaniel said. We will see how the next couple of days progress in convos with him and I. I mean, Mike McDaniel, you're a pretty smart guy, right? You're educated. Ivy League. When someone says how they feel, you take it at what it is. You don't sit there and try to change the narrative and say, well, I'll be able to talk him out of it, and he's just going through his moment. Tyreek Hill said what it is. So now you're telling me that you want to keep this man in the locker room and he doesn't want to be there? What does that create? A toxic situation. When someone tells you who they are or what they're about, you believe them, and then you work on the next route. You work on what comes next. You don't sit there and tell everyone, oh, well, nah, he's just upset right now. We'll figure it out. No, this man is telling you exactly how you feel. Because guess what? You don't want to have another situation where Tyreek Hill pulls an AB, do you? You don't want Tyreek Hill to run off that field and take off his jersey and his helmet and his shoulder pads, do you? Because guess what? We know that wide receivers are divas. I'm not saying that Tyreek Hill is AB, but when someone tells you their intentions, it's probably good to let them go. But there you go. We'll keep it going. Hill is coming off one of his worst seasons of his pro career, having caught 81 passes for 959 yards. The only other time he failed to crack the 1,000-yard benchmark were his rookie year in 2016, when he played in 19 when he missed 4 games with a shoulder injury. His down year comes after a career year last season in which he led the league in receiving yards, 1,799, and was tied for the league lead with 13 receiving touchdowns. He was just the 8th player since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970 to average at least 110 receiving yards per game, minimum of 10 games played. How would you feel if you had the best year in your career and then your quarterback literally cannot perform up to that standard anymore because of his own issues? How would you feel? A lot of wide receivers will feel the way Hill's. Hey, listen, my quarterback ain't performing the way that he needs to because of the issues that he has. Now, we're not going to throw out the word CTE, but we are going to say concussion a lot because we know that Tua Tagovailoa has had many concussions, and that will affect the way that he's going to play. That will affect his ability to make decisions. Now, I'm thinking if I'm Tyreek Hill, I'm saying, well, I believed in Tua, but he's not going to be the guy to get the job done for me, so now I'm stuck. Are we going to get a new quarterback? Is he going to move on, or do I need to move on? Well, Tua leaving Miami is probably not going to happen. So Tyreek Hill's like, all right, I know I'm not going to get what I need out of Tua. Let me move on. I need to move on and go somewhere else where I can go be great under a quarterback who I don't have to worry about. Because I said this last season, if Tua decided to stay, it was not only going to affect the fans, but it was going to affect the team as well, because now you're looking at it like everyone's upset. Everyone's angry because now Tua's being a little bit selfish, right? No, I'm not putting on the Guardian cap. I'm going to go out there and play my own game, even though I've been down on the field multiple times and had you all scared and worried. So I think there's a lot going on with Tyreek Hill and as far as how he feels with, this situation, as far as with this quarterback and as far as his own performance, because both go hand in hand. You have to be able to trust your quarterback to know that he's going to survive out there to get you the damn ball. But let's keep it going. Isn't it a coincidence that Hill's monster season came in this first season in which quarterback Tua Tagovailoa played every game, but the quarterback missed 6 games this year due to a concussion and a hip injury. Hill was held to just 14 catches for 140 yards in the first 4 games that Tagovailoa missed, the last of which was a Week 7 loss to the Colts, in which Hill was targeted just twice by quarterback Tyler Huntley and Tim Boyle. Hill wasn't sweating the lack of targets, though. You're going to have ups and downs. I understand how it goes, he told reporters later that week. After Tagovailoa returned to practice, I'm not going to lose my head over football. I'm going to control what I can control, which is running the right routes, being in the right spot, and being a good teammate. It seems like something has changed, though. His quote, "I'm too much of a competitor to just be out there," after Sunday's game makes him sound like a guy who's frustrated with his role in the offense. He caught 9 passes for 105 yards from Huntley last week in a win over the Cleveland Browns, but was held to just 2 catches for 20 yards in Sunday's must-win game. So Tyreek Hill is looking forward to the future, right? "I'm too much of a competitor" means you guys are wasting my offense. You guys are wasting my talent. You guys are wasting my contribution to this team. And that's the reality of it. So do I blame Tyreek Hill for how he feels right now? No, I don't. Maybe he could have pulled people aside and, off camera and had a conversation. I will say that he could have maybe handled it a little bit more professionally. Sure. But, he's speaking how he feels. And I can't fault him for that. Maybe it is time that he moves on. And unfortunately, I think that comes at the hands of Tagovailoa being selfish. Because to be honest, to me, maybe Tagovailoa should have took a back seat to the quarterback position, let somebody else come in, be healthy, that can perform in this role, and not waste all the talent that Miami's had, right? Miami had Hill, they had Gesicki, they had Waddle, right? There was a lot of talent. Barrios, there's a lot of talent over there that Miami had. In fact, Miami should be, if not above Miami or above Buffalo, but right behind Buffalo when it comes to being in the AFC East. And unfortunately for them, it hasn't turned out that way because all the talent has been wasted because of the situations with Tua Tagovailoa. So there you go. There you go. Shout out to you guys. Kirsten says, "You needed to say that, Jay." Greg says, "Low-key, Tyreek is acting like Devontae Adams, both aging wide receivers and crying over what should have and could have situation." Yes and no. I mean, there is some crying going on, but I think we know what Tyreek Hill is capable of with a worthy quarterback, right? You put Tyreek Hill with a Josh Allen. You put Tyreek Hill back with Patrick Mahomes. You put Tyreek Hill in the hands of a Justin Herbert, and he's having another career season, without a doubt. Do you know what Josh Allen would do with Tyreek Hill? Missing a deep threat right now? Oh, my goodness. We'd have 80-yard bombs every game. Every game. Josh Allen would give Tyreek Hill a 2,000-yard season. 100%. So I get where he's coming from, right? Put me in a situation to where my talent's not wasted. I have a specific time in my career where I'm going to be this great, so I'd rather not waste it. So like I said, I get it. I get it. Fidel says, "Jay, I got to disagree. Joe Burrow would steamroll Lamar and Josh if he had a team around him this year." You want to get into that conversation. We ain't even done with this conversation. You want to get into that conversation. George Pickens, sir. Oh, man, listen, I said that yet. I talked about Pickens yesterday. Let me get through this, and then we'll get into Joe Burrow. Mark says he could be the difference to many teams. Think of the Niners getting him, need to find that right team. 100%. I definitely agree. And I think that gets overlooked, right? I think, wide receivers crying and being divas sometimes definitely is overplayed because of certain individuals. But I don't think Tyreek Hill is in that realm yet, right? I think he's voicing a strong, solid opinion here. Like I said, it could have been a little bit more professional behind closed doors, but speaking to the media, getting his frustrations out may make him feel better about it, right? So is he wrong? No, he's not wrong at all. Because like I said, the issue with Miami right now is as a wide receiver, I don't feel like I have a quarterback that I can trust anymore. I don't want to go through the roller coaster. I want to know that when I step out on that field, if I'm giving you 110%, I want that from my quarterback. If I'm giving you the best routes, and if I got the best hands for the job, get me the ball and give me someone that can give me the ball. Or yeah, you're going to be frustrated. That's the reality of it. So there you go. But y'all want to get into Joe Burrow, huh? let's get into Joe Burrow. Mr. Joe. Joe Shiesty, Cool Joe. There's all different kinds of names that you can use for him as as we get into Joe Shiesty here. So yeah, let's talk about it, right? Too little, too late. Joe Burrow. We've seen this happen consistently with the Bengals. So if you want to talk about how great Burrow is with this specific Cincinnati Bengals team, we're not going to deny his greatness. The man's been to a Super Bowl, right? But is it a one and done? That's the question, right? Did you make it and now you can't get there anymore? Or did you make it, you got a taste of it, and you still have that fight and that hunger to get there again? And so we've seen, this thing happen with the Bengals where they start off very slow and then they found their groove. They find their rhythm and they start balling, and then they make it to the playoffs, and then it goes from there. Well, this just so happens to be a year where it was too little, too late. They thought that the same situation would happen. Hey, we'll have a slow start, but we'll get it in gear towards the end of the season. Well, you allowed other teams to control your fate. And now this is a league where you can't have your future in the hands of other teams, be it Miami, even though they're having their own issues, and especially the Broncos right now, right? This isn't Russell Wilson's Broncos no more. This is Bo Nix, whole different team. And so, yeah, you did what you were supposed to do on your side of things, but it was just set up so that you wouldn't be able to, have that door open for you by the Broncos or Miami. Now, when we get into Joe's performance, that's a whole nother conversation, because Joe had a hell of a year. And so when we start talking about the MVP between, Lamar and Allen and all that kind of stuff, yeah, if Joe Burrow was heading to the playoffs, he may actually be the front runner for MVP. Not Lamar, not Allen. It would probably be Joe Burrow here. So let's talk about the stats, right? 4,918 yards, 43 touchdowns. He had 9 interceptions. His QBR was 75. Ladies and gentlemen, 75. 460 of 652, 70% completion percentage, 43 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. His long was 70. He was sacked 48 times. Do you know how insane that is to put up that amount of numbers and be sacked 48 times? The offensive line has dogged this man out. The offensive line has left this man out there for dead. He's trying to play his heart out and do what he can for this team, and no one's able to help him. His highest year for sacks was in 2021, where he had 51. He almost beat that. But yet still, he was able to perform at such a high level where his QBR is 75. Tell me another quarterback that got sacked 48 times that could put up this kind of that can put up this kind of numbers. I'll wait. The man was balling. I'm not going to sit here and even hold you. The man was balling, and the reality is, when you look at the numbers, you start to sit here and say, well, why? Why weren't the Bengals able to get to the playoffs? Why wasn't it enough? And because the opportunity of the Bengals tends to come at the end of the season, and unfortunately, we'll break it down. So if we look at the schedule, we'll go back through it. Regular season, right? You started the season with a loss against the Patriots. You lost 16-10 against the Patriots, where Burrow had 164 yards. Moss rushed for 44. Chase had 62. Then you lost against Kansas City in a 1-point game, 26-25. And that's, a whole nother story. Losing to Kansas City by 1 or 2 was kind of the theme, this season. So I get it, right? You had 258 yards. Moss had 34 in the rushing. Gesicki had 91 yards on receiving. You go to Washington. You lose to the rookie, 38-33. Burrow put up 324 yards, 62 by Brown in the rushing. Chase had 118 yards. You lost by 5 points. Now, obviously, you gave up 26 to Kansas City. You gave up 38 to the Commanders. We're going to put that on the defense, right? So now you take the win against the Panthers, 34-24. This is the Panthers. Cool. All right. Your defense still let them get 24 points. Break down into Baltimore. You lost in overtime, which this was a hell of a game. You lost 41-38, 3-point game. You lost to a field goal. And once again, your defense let you down by putting up 41 points or letting Baltimore put up 41 points. Burrow had 392 yards. Chase had 193. As a wide receiver, I'm put up almost 200 yards and we lost. You guys seen that interview? He was aggravated. He was mad. You won against the Giants 17-7. You then beat the Browns 21-14. You then lost to Philly 37-17. Burrow 234 yards. Gesicki had 73. Chase wasn't much of a factor in that game. They had him locked down. And then your defense let you down again by giving up 37 points. You come back to the Raiders. You beat them 41-24. You lost to Baltimore again, 35-34. And then you lost to the Chargers 34-27. Now, once again, as you see it, right? Rough start. Then we go into the Steelers. 44-38. You gave up your defense gave up 44 points. Burrow had 309 yards. Chase had 86. And then Dallas, right? You try to reel things in. You try to get it back together. Now we're going to go on our run because we need to get to the playoffs. You beat Dallas. You beat the Titans. You beat the Browns. You beat Denver. And then you beat Steelers. Too little, too late. So unfortunately for the Bengals, your biggest issue is the defense. You gave up too many points. And it took you too long to get things together. And that's just the reality of it. But yes, if things were reversed and if the Bengals had a better record and they were heading into the playoffs, I'm pretty sure that Joe Burrow would be front runner for MVP. So it's just sad to put up, those kind of stats and not be in the conversation for it. But that's the name of the game. That's how it goes. So let me hop back into the chat with you guys. Safari says it was never Russell Wilson's Broncos. You're right. It was Sean Payton's Broncos. That is a fact. Says Tua doesn't have the health to play on a level like with Allen, Lamar, and Burrow. 100%. 100%. Mark says Burrow versus Lawrence in an MMA match. Now that would pay well for both of them. Well, you can't win in football, so just get in the ring. Get in that octagon. Go get in the octagon. Shout out to you guys. If was a fifth, well, you know how that goes. We'd all be sauced. I cried when they lost to the Chiefs. Listen, those one Kansas City, we've been talking about it all season. If you go back and you look at Kansas City's games and you just switch to possession, one possession games, you switch it over, Kansas City would probably have the worst record in the league. It is absolutely insane how close that is. But hey, like I said before, we're not going to discredit Kansas City for winning because they won. But if you do that and you look at the numbers, it starts to look really interesting, for sure. For sure. Jay News, just now general manager Rand Carthen has been fired in Nashville. This ownership is trash. Oh, my goodness. Titans news. Oh, here we go. Listen, we just gonna keep it going. We got until 12 with you guys. We're just gonna keep it going. Well, here we go. More breaking news for you. So, Titans fired general manager Rand Carthen after 2 seasons. And can we get the video? Oh, this is just the highlights. All right. So we'll get into the story. Titans fired general manager Rand Carthen after 2 seasons. Let's break this one down. Rand Carthen will not be helping the Tennessee Titans make the #1 overall selection in the 2025 NFL Draft. The Titans announced on Tuesday they have fired the general manager after 2 seasons. I've loved the time I spent with Rand. He's a talented football mind, a great man, and a friend to everyone along his path. Owner Amy Adams Strunk said a statement. It's impossible to ignore that our football team hasn't improved over the past 2 years. I am deeply disappointed in our poor win-loss record during this period, of course, but my decision also speaks to my concern about our long-term future. Should we stay the course? I love this team more than you can imagine. To our fans, we know this level of performance isn't acceptable. We're humbled by your support as we continue to work towards building the team you expect and deserve. So yeah. Once again, we talked about it yesterday. Teams, unfortunately, do not have patience for anyone no more. And you're going to have situations now where we're looking for the scapegoat, right? 2025 is ushering in a new era when it comes to football. From the coaching to the coordinators to the trainers, all that. If you're not ready to hit the ground running, if you can't figure this out within a season or two, you're gone. You're gone. I don't think they care anymore. I think they're looking at everything as, hey, you're expendable. We're going to start just churning, open door policy. Get them in, get them out. If they can perform, we'll keep them a little bit longer. If they can't, they're gone. You see it with Robert Saleh. Doug Peterson's gone now. Jerod Mayo's gone now. You had Ken Dorsey with the Browns. He's gone. There's so much, right? Ken Dorsey had 1 season. Jerod Mayo 1 season. Ran Carthon 2 seasons. The upper management and ownership are now making decisions to where they think it's going to appease the fans. When unfortunately it's like, okay, if we're not allowing teams to create relationships with individuals and giving them some time to really get things going, you're never going to have parity in the league. And to be honest, I don't think the NFL really wants that, right? I really think the NFL wants things to be so confusing because it kind of, and I'm going to have to go here, it kind of gives them the ability to set the narrative how they want, right? Because the Tennessee Titans have been going through so much issues, especially with Will Levis coming over, who has not had the ability to develop. That's just the reality of it. We talk about it all the time. Hopkins went over there, had was supposed to help out the team and lead them to some good wins. Well, Will Levis wasn't able to find the man, right? So you give him a veteran wide receiver and thinking that's going to fix the problem, when the problem is Will Levis isn't ready to play in a starting role. But we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to fire the general manager. It's 2025. These teams need new oil. New oil. So it's unfortunate, right? We're going to hear more about individuals and teams shaking things up as far as, changes and people getting fired. But this is just the name of the game, right? This is the name of the game. Hopefully the Titans can figure this out and get some things shaken because they've been in bad shape for years now. For years, without a doubt. So let's hop back into the chat. Says, can't believe Miami didn't start Tua, but it would not have mattered because the Chiefs let the Broncos win and not playing Mahomes. Well, you don't start Tua because you don't want him to get hurt. It's just the reality of it. Kirk says they should do a complete rebuild, without a doubt. If you're going to start at the general managers, get rid of everybody. Get rid of everybody. Start over. Start 2025 fresh, brand new. And, it's sad because you even look at the Jets and everyone had dogged Zach Wilson, right? Zach Wilson's trash and Zach Wilson's this. And it's like Zach Wilson hasn't learned anything in the NFL. There's been no one to teach him anything with the Jets. And then you bring in Mike White. He wins a couple games and it's like, all right, well, he's not it either. It's the same situation. We're seeing teams grab rookies because they're looking at the tape. Oh, they won a championship, or oh, they look really good in college. So let's go ahead and put them in the starting role of this billion-dollar franchise and expect them to go out there and win a Super Bowl. That is your expectations For a rookie who's not used to the speed of the game, for a rookie who can't go through their progressions, who has barely any sense of what the O-line can do, there's no chemistry there. There's no time. Now, there is a select few who has done great because they're ready, but every rookie isn't ready. So certain rookies have to sit behind good quarterbacks to learn. You're not going to get a Bo Nix. You're not going to get a Jayden Daniels. You're not going to get an Anthony Richardson when he's not injured. You're not going to get these individuals who aren't ready to go out there and ball because they haven't learned. But we'll try to make it work. So, there you go. More craziness as usual. Shout out to Robert says, well, Jay, how big is it for the Chiefs and Lions getting that first round bye? Well, you know what? Let's pull it up. Let's see here. Can I bring it in? I think I can. More? A little more? Oh, no, I'm not doing it right. Hold on, y'all. Hold on, let me get it right. Y'all know I'm a little bit of a perfectionist. I want everything to be shown the right way. Okay. We broke this down yesterday, but we'll do it again. I'm fine with going back before we wrap things up. All right. So back to the bracket. Vikings, Rams, Commanders, Bucks, Packers, Eagles. Obviously, Lions get the 1 seed. Kansas City, 1 seed. Then you go Chargers, Texans, Steelers, Ravens, Broncos, Bills. Now, I'll be honest with you. When we talk about the 1 seed, let's just talk about the 1 seed. That's what we'll do today. So 1 seed specifically, Lions, Kansas City. The reason why Kansas City has a 1 seed is when you go back and you look at their season, right? Everyone's gonna say, well, they won by 1 and they won by 2, and it wasn't dominant wins, and so why are they number 1? Listen, they won. It doesn't matter if you win by a point. It doesn't matter if you win by 50 points. Win the game, right? Just win. Kansas City has been in this weird just win situation all season. And guess what? Andy Reid is a masterclass level, is at a masterclass level of coaching. So, all right, I know that our offense hasn't been what it used to be, but our defense is going to do just enough to keep them scoring low. Now, Patrick, you're going to play just as good as you were, but not to your true full potential, right? You still got the magic there. You still got Travis Kelce. You got some new pieces. You did lose some of the old pieces, so you had to build on some chemistry, right? Hollywood Brownie came in and he went out, all right? See, but you still got Gray. You still got Kelce. Pacheco went out. Now he's back in. So you're mixing and matching some of the pieces, right? Andy Reid's on the chessboard. He's not on the checkers board. Andy Reid's on the chessboard, right? I know I got a solid defense. I have a championship level defense. So at the end of the day, even if my offense isn't playing at 100%, my defense is going to keep us in it just enough so that I'm going to be able to coach this game and make sure that Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hand when it matters the most. And that's at the end of the game. So no matter what happens, if we're down a couple points, even if we're down a touchdown, Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands because I can trust this quarterback to go out there and win the game no matter what. At the end, if it's a field goal game, he's going to drive down and get a touchdown. If it's a 1-point game, we're going to get down there and then Bucker's going to go ahead and hit that field goal and we'll get the win. But no matter what happens, win, lose, or draw, Patrick Mahomes has the ball in his hands at the end of the game. And so that's why Kansas City has a 1 seed. Time of possession. You can debate the stats, you can debate the record all you want. Kansas City Chiefs has a 1 seed because of time possession. That's the bottom line. Now, on the flip side, this is the complete opposite of Andy Reid, right? And when I think of Andy Reid, I think of the methodical thinking. I think of being strategic. I think of excellent planning. the game plan ready to go. I'm going to outcoach who's on the opposing side. When we get into the Lions and the number 1 seed, we look at Dan Gamble. It's not Dan Campbell no more. It's Dan Gamble. So why the Detroit Lions are the 1 seed? Well, we get into Jared Goff and his offense. Tons of weapons, tons of options. Laporta, Williams, Reynolds, St. Brown, Gibbs, Montgomery. Who wants to catch the ball? Who wants to run the ball? You all can do it. We'll run jet sweeps with Brown and he'll pick up a first down. All right, that don't work. Let's go to Gibbs. He's going to get us a first down. All right, you want to get those two? Fine, I'll catch Laporta. He'll bulldoze for a first down. I have so many opportunities. And guess what? I'm going to wear you down with the run because if Gibbs ain't working, I'll bring in Montgomery. He'll pick up the yards. So many different opportunities as far as with this team. And so that's why we have such a solid and dominant offense. Now, on the flip side with the defense, my defense is going to destroy you. We going to lock down your favorite wide receiver. And guess what? If you weren't paying attention, we seen that with the Vikings. Justin Jefferson couldn't do a damn thing. Nothing. And I was so hyped to see this game. Like, we're going to have a good game. It's going to be a shootout. No. This defense locked down Justin Jefferson so much that Sam Darnold didn't know what to do on that field. He looked absolutely lost. I was so disappointed, but then I sat back and I said, you know what? Why am I disappointed? Sam Darnold's trusty and reliable wide receiver is locked down, so he's forced to go other places, and now he doesn't know what to do. That is dominance displayed on the field. Now, back to why this matters and why the Lions are number 1. It's not even because of those two things. It's a part of it. It's a huge part of it. But guess what? Lions have time of possession. This is where the league is right now. If you control the ball, not just score, control the ball, you keep the ball in your hands, you keep that defense out there, you win the game. Lions in Kansas City have been the best at time possession and controlling the ball, and that's why they have the number 1 seeds. So there you go. There you go. Says Jay, do you put any stock in the fact that a team sits for a week? It makes them rusty. I do. Right. I don't put a lot of stock in it, but I would put some. Right. And I think it depends, because if you're looking from the top of the mountain, you're saying, okay, we were rested, we can game plan a little bit more. All those other guys have to fight, tire themselves out before they come to us. And it can be beneficial to a certain degree, because it's like, well, who are you playing? Right. And especially having the Kansas City specifically having the number 1 seed, you've got the situation with Patrick Mahomes having the injury, right? Fighting through it. I've got that extra week to rest that, get better, plan, prepare, and do what I always do with having the 1 seed. Now, the flip side to that is, who am I going against when they come to me? Am I going against Bills? Am I going against the Ravens, Steelers, whoever it is? Who am I going against, and what kind of talent and what kind of situation am I preparing for? So that's kind of the issue, right? Because you're not directly in it from the start. So you're kind of waiting to see who you're planning for. And I think that fits to the narrative. So I don't really put too much stock in it. But at some degree, it does matter, because not being in the game and playing may make players a little lazy. Right. Yeah, you're going to think that guys do game plan, but some are going to peel off and just relax, maybe have a little bit more fun than normal before the game starts, and may not be in full playoff mode. Now, I'm thinking Andy Reid's going to have these guys prepared for sure, but that can happen. And it does happen. So I don't think it really matters too much, but it could play a factor. And that goes for both sides for sure. The Chiefs are playing on a fine line. I agree. Karlaftis is a beast, without a doubt. Without a doubt. I don't know why everyone looks past Darnold's terrible mustache. It's costing him games. Not the mustache costing the Vikings. Just either shave it off or go get it trimmed up, yo. Go get that thing trimmed up, and then you might win some games. Kirk says Lions are a complete team on both sides. I got them winning it all. You might not be wrong. I can't argue with that. Y'all know me. Normally I got a response for almost everything. But when you say that the Lions are a complete team and they could win it all, I think you're right. For sure. Now, the team to beat is the Lions. That's the reality. So no matter who makes it out of the AFC, Bills, Ravens, Kansas City, Chargers, whoever makes it, the team to beat is the Lions. Now, what do I think is going to happen down the road? Well, I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen and then what I want to happen, because there's two versions of this. What I think is going to happen is I think it's going to come down to the Eagles and Lions. That is what I expect. And then on the flip side for the AFC, I think it's going to come down to Kansas City and the Ravens. That's what I think. What I want to happen is I would like to see Lions and the Buccaneers. I think that would be surprising and shocking for sure. Baker Mayfield for a shot to get to the Super Bowl, I think that would be a hell of a story, especially if you can pull it off. On the flip side, KC Bills. Bills move on. Lions, Bills, Super Bowl. That's what I want to see. For the Bills, it's gonna be tough, right? You gotta get to the Broncos. Then it's gonna be the Ravens, Kansas City. It's gonna be tough. So, like I said, that's what I think is gonna happen. So there you go. Shout out to you guys. Savaris is waking up from my first night in my new deluxe apartment in the sky. Great view, but it's still a little strange. Thank you for the comfort and familiarity of the live stream this morning. Shout out to you, Safari, without a doubt. Appreciate you guys, all of you. Robert says time possession is the answer for obtaining the number 1 seed. Wouldn't that be the same for winning the Super Bowl? Time possession? Sure. Hold that ball. Keep that ball. Because at the end of the day, you control the game. Right? You control that game. You control the narrative. If you can keep the ball in your hand, guess what? Your defense is doing their job. That's what that means. If you're controlling the time possession, that means your defense is doing their job. It's that simple. So at the end of the day, that's what's going to win, or that's what's going to win these teams, these games, time possession. Which means your defense is doing what they're supposed to. Shout out to you, Philip. Let's go, bro. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The coffee or the tea is probably cold by now, but we'll finish it off. And there you go. So shout out to you guys. Make sure you hit that like, hit that thumbs up, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Click that bell, turn on your notifications so you don't miss a stream. I appreciate each and every one of you. Episode 2 was fun. It was great. And we'll see you all tomorrow. Have yourselves a great, great morning. Peace out.